Hello everyone. Today I'll talk about the collective trauma that the Spicans holds and also the Lyrans. As you know, the Spicans are one of the feline civilization. They came all the way from Lyra after the war. And this information is received in the Akashic records. So if you are interested for a session, I'll leave the link in the description below. So during the war between Lyrans and Draconians, the Draco ambushed the Lyrans, which caused great destruction and devastation towards the Lyran population. Many of them fled their home to find other places, such as Sirius, the Pleiades, Alpha Centauri, but there is one particular special group that found Spica. When I astral traveled to Spica, I was surprised to find feline beings. I never have expected that Spica was actually the direct descendant from Lyra. It caught me off by surprise. These beings were white feline beings, and they're very beautiful, very delicate, full of perfectionism. It's not like the cats or the Irmas, the lions, the more freeze-looking lion beings like from Lyra. The Lyrans who went to Spica have a strong desire to rebuild and preserve their civilization. They are also very strict and rigid that their home is heavily guarded and cannot be easily accessed by anyone, by any outsiders. The mistake they made, which was to trust outsiders, has made them unable to trust anymore. Therefore, they do not associate and they don't have much connection with the outside world, with other galactics. And they are very solitude, but they are solitude in a way they keep their community closely connected and closely tied. They are extreme on the divine feminine and heavily reject the masculine after what happened with the war, because as you know, the Dracos were the negative masculine energy. And because of that, the Spicans are at a very safe sanctuary that they do not associate with any warfare in the cosmos, anything. They're just doing their own thing and they don't allow people to casually come in. But they are also rejecting their own evolution and staying at a place of stagnation. So they are not really evolving or growing. They do still remain at a high vibration, it's just that they aren't evolving at all. As you know, we came to Earth to heal, to embrace duality, and to transcend beyond it through enlightenment. Many of the Lyran collective are wounded because of the devastation of the war, from the war. That has traumatized them and put them in a state of constant battle. And that's why Lyrans are known to be one of the fierce warriors who take vengeance against the Dracos and are strong protectors. They are constantly at war in an inner battle and an outer battles with the negative alien races. And they are trapped in the state of battle between the light and dark. Like the Spicans that didn't trust outsiders and think they may pose harm to their homes. It's all part of their wounds manifesting into reality. What I learned recently is to get out of the idea that we are always in a constant battle with the dark force, because it puts us in an inner state of battle with no rest. We get tired, we become anxious, and the body and mind and soul needs to rest and needs to find peace. But how can we do that if we are constantly thinking about defeating the dark or fighting the dark or staying in that state of no rest? As you know, the more we focus on this concept of the battle between good and evil, light and dark, we just keep manifesting that into our realities. And so that's why wars never end. Wars keep looping. There may be a moment of peace, but evil returns and then we fight again, and so it's a cycle, right? So the only way to transcend beyond this cycle is to embrace the shadow with unconditional love. Like shadow work, that's part of shadow work. And then we transcend beyond duality of good and bad, light and dark. And doing the shadow work, you do not focus on the light fully and reject your shadows. Sometimes you need to let your shadow out, you need to let your shadow express itself. And from a other point of view, this may seem like, oh yeah, we are focusing on the lower vibration, the negative vibration, but we cannot completely ignore them. And that's where the concept of balancing the light and dark comes in. It's not like you need to set the intention to balance the light and dark. It's more like you need to allow your body to feel what it wants to feel and release what it wants to release. The intention, you can always stay in the light. You can always have the intention to be of the highest light of unconditional love. But we live in duality where we constantly unaware that we are taking in a lot of shadow and we do feel negative emotions. And that's where how we should not neglect the shadows, the dark stuff that we've been undertaking, and that we need to release them. There's an information I found in this website, and I'll share it to you in the description, is that it talks about how, about the balancing of the light. The more you focus on the light, the dark comes out because, the weight is on the light, so the dark just lifts up. And the more you focus on the dark, the light, it gets lifted up. It's the extreme pendulum. So the point is that the intention is not really to balance, but the intention is to let nature take its course. And that you do not need to be too extreme on the light, because it's like a pendulum. The more you have friction and the more you push to the opposite extreme, the more it swings. And the more it swings, you become tired because it's too extreme. It swings to the light, and later you find yourself too focused in the dark. That's the pendulum, and you want to calm that pendulum down into a state of tranquility. This information about transcending beyond duality will really help us realize, because I was in that path where I thought that, me having that Lyran origin, knowing that, believing that we are always constantly in battle with the dark forces, when the dark forces are actually part of Source. It's part of us, it's part of who we are. If we look in a deeper perspective, we all have our shadow selves, we all have our inner demons. And we've been suppressing, we've been judging, we've been thinking that they are enemies. But in fact they are not, they are part of who we are. And the more we neglect them, the more they will scream. Hatred, if you think about hatred, they come from an extreme attachment. They can come from a place of extreme love, which I call it attachment. The more you love someone to the extreme and something bad happens, it switches that extreme to the other side. And that's why when you find yourself hating that person you used to love, it's because it's an extreme pendulum. And that's why we need to transcend beyond this extreme duality and beyond this realm. And by doing that, we need to learn to do shadow work. And we need to learn to be still, be an observer. Anyways, back to the Spican. So when I was doing the readings about the Spican origins, I was surprised by the things I saw. The Spicans, now this is not all, this was the particular group I was doing a reading with, and they all had their Spican origins. So what I found about them is they are very strict with organization. Like, this has to be like that, this has to build like that. It's like the positioning and all, it's like so perfectionist. And they are also clean freaks. It reminded me of strict Asian parenting. And by the way, it is Asian, the people I was doing a reading for. And where everything must be perfect and everything must be clean and tidy. Even the way they behave must not be vulgar and must be whole. And because of that, the Spican civilization is very dreamy, like a fantasy realm, and with proper, delicate maintenance. They look really aesthetic and perfect. their traits are exactly the same as Virgos. And you know, Spica is located in the constellation of Virgo. Then again, they are too extreme and are perfectionists, which is part of the collective trauma. Spica is also a safe haven, and a lot of wounded souls from the war chose to incarnate in Spica to heal and to be safe from all the battles and the wars that are happening. But not everyone enjoyed the experience in Spica. One of the stories I know is that one soul didn't like Spica at all because of the strict rules or the strict parenting, I would say. And that this soul particularly didn't like how the freedom felt restricted because everything has to be neat, everything has to be perfect, and it's very destructive for the inner child, or I would say not destructive, but very restricting for the inner child. So some Spicans could have picked up the karma of the restricted inner child, and they need to heal that. Regardless, Spica is still a beautiful place, and I would definitely recommend anyone to astral travel to there. And that's it for Spica. Thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in a Akashic record reading session or clearing session with me, you can book a session at manifestyouridealdreams.com. I'll leave the link in the description below in the comments. Much love and peace.